Karma doesn't spare anyone. These dirty cops found that the hard way. Here are 7 corrupt cops who got exposed in court. Number 1. Zach Wester. This is Zach Wester, a highly ambitious Florida sheriff's deputy who thought putting innocent people in jail on possession of drug charges will help him advance in his career quickly. He stands at trial in Jackson County, Florida, on charges of racketeering, fabricating evidence, false imprisonment, and possession of controlled substances. Wester is accused of planting drugs in vehicles during random traffic stops. But did the court find enough evidence to convict him? Let's find out. One of his victims was Stephen Van, who had recently been released from jail when Wester allegedly found methamphetamine in his car. When the court discovered that some recordings had mysteriously vanished, it raised further doubts about Wester's integrity and his intentions. Who else do you think could have tampered with the evidence? Of all the body cam videos, the most incriminating was Teresa Odom's. However, it can be seen from his body cam footage that Wester had a small item visible in his left hand before initiating the search. Prosecutors argued that Wester planted a small bag of methamphetamine in Odom's car and pinned the blame on her. The innocent grandmother was sentenced to 4 years on probation. However, Wester got what was coming for him when the court found him guilty on 19 of 67 counts, including racketeering, misconduct, fabricating evidence, perjury, false imprisonment, possession of controlled substances, and drug paraphernalia. Zach Wester received a prison sentence of 12.5 years. Our next dirty cop quietly bagged over $1,000 from a vehicle during an inspection, but he didn't know it was a trap. Number 2. Marco Burke. It all started when an AR-15 gun went missing from a police locker. The MTSU police chief, Buddy Peaster, had doubts about Burke but had no evidence to prove he'd taken the gun. That's when he collaborated with Murfreesboro Police to set up a sting operation. On the night of May 10, 2018, Burke was directed to be the lone responder to a car crash involving a reckless driver. The driver wasn't included in the setup. No one was around when Burke reached the car. Luckily, the entire vehicle search was recorded by Burke's body camera. The footage clearly shows a bottle of pills Burke found in the car. He quickly puts it in his pocket and continues looking for more evidence. While rummaging through the planted vehicle, he finds a backpack in the passenger seat with $1,100 cash and another bottle of pills, but he doesn't admit to finding anything in the abandoned vehicle. Burke did not mention the pills or the cash in his police report of the incident, but hid both items in a blue lunchbox that he dropped into the shrubbery next to his car in the police department parking lot. What's shocking is that Burke kept his body cam on throughout the search, even though he was committing an illegal act, and it was the same footage that incriminated him. Why do you think Burke didn't shut the camera? Chief Peaster, the man who arranged the sting operation, commented, "I think it was a habit out of training, and he turned it on and it was a habit of not thinking about it. That could be the reason, or maybe he just forgot to turn it off." Coming up next is a cop who created a scandal that brought down the Baltimore Police Department. Number 3. Wayne Jenkins. Baltimore witnessed a historic uprising following the death of 25-year-old Freddie Gray in police custody. But as the public took to the streets in protests, another police officer named Wayne Jenkins was actively running a drug operation where he would steal prescription drugs from pharmacies and sell them on the black market. Unfortunately, that wasn't his only crime. Wayne Jenkins had an important position within the Baltimore Police Department. He was a sergeant with a powerful task force whose job was to take firearms off the streets. However, Jenkins used the authority he had to create a gang within the police department, committing crimes that he was supposed to protect against. From profiling residents, breaking into homes, and stealing cash, to trafficking drugs, Jenkins' unit was involved in various illicit activities. Here are a few staggering crimes Jenkins supported as a sergeant. These corrupt cops would target suspected drug dealers and carry fake weapons if they shot an unarmed person to plant the weapon on them. After seizing weapons and drugs from suspects, they would resell the items to criminals. During the trial, some of the officers admitted that they would drive fast towards groups of people in the street and slam on the brakes. They would then see who ran away from the group and chase and detain them. can you believe this happened between 10 to 50 times every night? Wayne Jenkins, the unit leader, pleaded guilty to multiple charges, including robbery, racketeering, and falsification of records. Since he was the mastermind behind all illegal activities, he received the stiffest of all sentences, 25 years in prison. Jenkins is the perfect example of a bad cop, but so is the next officer on our list. The only problem is, he isn't the real deal, but only pretending to be a police officer. He knows he's a fake, but his victims don't. Number 4. Jeremy DeWitt. Meet 39-year-old Jeremy DeWitt from Orlando, Florida, who's been charged with impersonating a police officer. DeWitt runs a company that provides private security escorts during funeral processions. However, he gets a kick from bossing people around and acting like a police officer, a desire that has cost him dearly. Since DeWitt made sure to make a public spectacle of himself, it didn't take long for social media to get wind of his actions, and the real police eventually took action against him. In 2019, the police caught him driving recklessly and arrested him while working at a funeral. DeWitt was charged with impersonating an officer and released on bond. However, the noose around his neck got tighter when police got a warrant for his own body camera footage. What they found was enough to incriminate him. DeWitt was arrested again on 2 more charges of impersonating an officer. He was again released on bond. After several arrests for the same charge, he's back in court. Only this time, he was there for failing to register a vehicle as a very real sex offender. However, the judge gives him another chance despite the prosecution's request to revoke his bonds. While DeWitt wasn't a real police officer, he felt entitled to mistreat others pretending to be one. Coming up next is the perfect example of unchecked police brutality. Number 5. Taylor Police Department. The man behind the wheel who was mercilessly pulled out of his car for asking for an explanation was Calvin Jones, and the police officers denying him that right were the Taylor Police Department.
No, you can't, sir.
I don't answer any questions.
Okay, well, it's going to turn out very poorly for you.
It's fine, but you're not telling me what's going on, and that ain't right.
I'm going to tell you what the deal is. You're probably suspended, so you don't want to give me your license. Here's the deal.
For all I know, you could be trying to kill me right now.
You're absolutely ridiculous, all right?
I don't care.
All right,
Because
step out of the car.
It's been 2 minutes. I'm not stepping out the car until you tell me what's going on.
All right, open the door.
You gotta let me know what's going on, man. I'm not going to.
You're going to jail is what's going on.
For what? You ain't. What charges? On what charges? Wow.
Get out of the car now. Yo, my shit, my shit, get out of the Yo, my shit, my shit, get out of the Yo, my shit, my shit, get out of the Get out of the car, man. Get out of the car. Get out of the car. Get out of the car. Let me get out of the car. Okay, get out. Get out of the car. You ain't getting out of the car. No, get out of the car now. Get out of the car. Get on the ground. Put your hand behind your back.
The officer later claims Jones was trying to reach for something between seats, but Jones contended he was trying to unlock his seatbelt. If that wasn't enough, 3 other officers joined the first one to pull Jones out of the car, using excessive force. Did you know Jones blacked out after being put in a chokehold during the arrest? All of that for running a stop sign. The ACLU requested the Downriver Detroit Suburbs Police Department to review the stop, retrain their officers, and amend policies if necessary. Next, a London police officer whose chilling acts triggered nationwide protests and vigils. Number 6. Wayne Couzens. Meet Wayne Couzens, a cop sentenced to life in prison for the kidnap, rape, and murder of a young woman. After weeks of meticulous planning, Couzens was waiting for Sarah Evard on the evening of March 3, 2021. Using his position as a police officer, Couzens stopped 33-year-old Sarah while walking home from her friend's house just outside of Brixton Hill. He pretended to arrest her using police handcuffs. The witnesses saw Couzens arrest Sarah, believed the cop was just doing his job, but what happened next shocked the entire nation. He drove Sarah to a remote rural area where he raped and murdered her brutally. When investigators found Sarah's body, they believed she was strangled to death. Cousin's chilling act is the perfect example of unchecked authority and how police officers misuse the power given to them by the state. Sarah's murder clearly highlights Cousin's sick mentality and his manipulative nature. The next officer on our list was found guilty of assaulting multiple women on duty. Wait until you learn the disturbing details of these encounters. Number 7. Daniel Holtzclaw. A former Oklahoma City police officer, Daniel Holtzclaw was convicted of sexually assaulting women while hiding behind his police badge. These crimes were committed between December 2013 and June 2014, when Holtzclaw was patrolling a low-income neighborhood. There, he targeted women who were vulnerable due to outstanding warrants or previous criminal histories. Holtzclaw thought these women would be easy targets because they were less likely to report the assault. Using his authority as a police officer, Holtzclaw would threaten these women with arrests if they didn't comply with his commands. Holtzclaw's crimes continued unchecked until a woman reported that he had sexually assaulted her during a traffic stop. It led to an investigation that later revealed a pattern of sexual abuse. Can you believe that a total of 13 women came forward with allegations against him? While their stories differed, Holtzclaw's intention remained the same in each case. Some complained that he would perform searches or pat-downs that would turn into sexual assaults. Others said that Holtzclaw demanded sexual favors in return for lenient sentences. Throughout his trial, Holtzclaw maintained he was innocent and being framed by the women as part of a controversy. However, his defense did not prove his innocence, and Holtzclaw was sentenced to 263 years in prison. Holtzclaw's case highlighted the blatant abuse of power and authority. But do you think 263 years is a fair sentence for someone charged with sexual assault? Especially if you consider that Wayne Jenkins was given just 25 years. Could there be any truth to Holtzclaw's claim that he was being framed as part of a controversy? Only time will tell. If these corrupt cops have left you in a rage, check out these heartwarming reactions to non-guilty verdicts to calm your nerves.